So, who would like to do an opening this morning? A nice opening prayer. Start us off. Anyone?
Hey, Jim, you got my message.
One of these days, Dolly's going to do it. I just know that.
How
Oh,
about Shirley? Shirley?
Shirley here?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm here, but not in picture.
okay, wonderful.
Shirley, could you pray us in, please?
Would I do what?
Would you pray us?
Say, say an opening prayer if you would.
Okay. As we all sit here in unison, praying for our world, our families, all there is out there still. We allow ourselves to enter into what is next on our journey into our world, into our families, into our country. And we're a good, strong group. And I know that our prayers from each one of us, as that energy flows through the world, awakens so many others to join us in prayer, to join us in happiness, to join us in living. And so, as we continue these words today, the laughter, the tears, the joy of seeing one another. It's good seeing you, Charlie. And the blessings that we all have. Let us all weave it together so that we do become that one space that fills with love. Amen.
Thank you, Shirley. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
And this is an auspicious group. My. What a wonderful group of spiritual enlightened beings. So what I'm going, the title that I guess Nikki picked was really, we're talking about transitions. And and she's going to use me or ask me to be a role model to that, and I'm happy to be that. But what I want to make clear is that even though I can give some great examples of how it works in my life, it's working in each and every one of your lives to the extent that you use the principles that we teach and live by. So, people around me have often asked, well, you just lost $50,000 in 30 seconds, and you're getting on with your life. You're not upset. You're not throwing a tantrum. Or you lost your wife, and you can immediately get up and be normal. You don't have to be sad and depressed and lonely. Things like that. Or I gave up a house of 43 years and I had no problems doing it, moving into another place. So transitions all begin in our own minds and our own hearts. And to the extent we apply the principles that we're all aware of, the principles of love and joy and peace that reside deep within us, we draw upon those. And then the transition is more natural, it's happy, it's easy to going. We all know from this group that life is eternal. and that we were somewhere before and we're going to be somewhere after. But right now, we're here and present. And in our present awareness, we're aware that there's one life, there's one power, there's one presence that is expressing itself through all creation, and certainly through us. And so the principles of creation are very simple. The seeds that we plant in our consciousness are the ones that will germinate and become whole and complete some distant time. So what does that mean? That means our destiny is determined by our choices. And so we choose each moment of now. And when we find ourselves in an emotional feeling of loneliness or despair or sadness, or want to make ourselves or others wrong, we can change that in a heartbeat. And by doing that, we raise our vibrations to a higher octave. And we move into a higher state of consciousness that some people call ascension. We're always ascending. We have no choice. But there's a complacency. At times, I'm complacent, more complacent than others, and I'm sure most of us are. What does that mean? That means we give up the work. It requires work. And we know that through our lifetime and through our experiences, that if we want to achieve something, it requires work. It just doesn't come to us. Now, those things that seem to come to us automatically are things that were created at former times. We planted those seeds before, and now they're germinating and they're coming into fruition. So Tom Kenyon and Virginia Scene. Virginia's been a very active part of our society for a number of years. And I met her in Monterey at a healing conference. And she said something, I just met her for 10 seconds, and she said something that intuitively moved me. So I knew that what she was saying was an internal truth. And so I invited her to become part of our ministry, and she did. What's that? Is there something? I'm hearing some noise. Is there any questions?
It was Dolly in the background.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I had an important
Paula.
phone call I had to take. I apologize.
oh, that's okay. So Paula, you know all this, what I'm saying anyway. It's internal in each of us. And what I'm saying is that Virginia Scene, who has written like 22 books, when she got together, she met Tom Kenyon somewhere, and Tom's a brilliant guy that as a young man, in fact, as a child, he got spiritually awakened, and he spent his life trying to, wanting to know more how that works. So he became a psychotherapist. Anyway, he has several degrees, and he backs up science with a spiritual understanding, which I like. So when he got together with Virginia said, walked up to him as a stranger and said, "Yes, you need to write the book." And that's what he needed to hear, confirmation, because he was reluctant to share his story with the relationship that he's had with the Hawthornes. And he was channeling them, but like any of us, you're a skeptic, right? You want to be sure whatever you're hearing or clairvoyant or whatever is going on, that it is something of value, something that will help, something that will not hinder. And so he went through a period of time when he listened to them and questioned them, and until he was satisfied that the information coming through was one of helpfulness. And so the Harthers have their fourth dimensional mostly, but like anyone living in any dimension, in each dimension, there are beings that are in higher dimensions, and we call those avatars or teachers, spiritual enlightened beings, like maybe Abraham Lincoln or whatever. There are beings that come into our nature and at that moment and that time to make a difference. So we're all here. Each one of us are here to make a difference, and we have made a difference in our journey. We've reached out and we've helped many others. And the best way to help anyone is for us to become more enlightened ourselves. And the Harthers are giving us exercises and means of helping us grow internally so that we can express more love and more light and more power. And in doing that, we're beneficial presence, that we bring our light into the world. And we don't have to manipulate anyone or anything. What we have to do is be willing to do the work to change ourselves. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the Harthers have an exercise that we'll do in a few moments, as doing the work is what it's all about. Wow. Anyway, here's what I like to do when I go to bed or when I want remembrance. I will do this as very, very, very simple exercise. So when you breathe in, at the same time you're breathing in, you say the words, God is. So you're going to breathe in, feel the energy, and say, God is. And then the next breath, you're going to say, I am. See how simple that exercise is. So, but it brings us in a closer alignment, awareness with what's so. So if you'll join me right now as we take a deep breath in, we say the words, God is.
God.
We can breathe out and we can say, I am. So repeat that several times to yourselves and just feel it in your heart. God is. I am. God is.
Yes,
I
I am.
God
God is.
I
I
am. Now, for each of us, how do you feel? Do you feel anything when you say that? Does that resonate? What does that do for you? Anything? Anybody?
Sort
No.
of I felt more open,
Yeah.
more, I can't explain it, more lighter than I had been.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because the Hearth's a lot of their purpose is to get us in touch with our feeling nature. Many of us are very mental and sometimes ignore our feeling nature. So their objective in this teaching is to get us in attunement with our feeling and we want to feel it in our heart center. So when we open our heart center, we can accomplish more. We're beneficial presence. So, and the other thing they're endeavoring to teach us is that the value of sound. We know very little about how sound can be used for healing, but we're going to be learning more and more about that. And if you go into YouTube, you can Google, you can search for Tom Kenyon and music, and he does some toning. He has 4 octaves. How many people can reach 4 octaves? Anyway, he's one that can do that. And I've listened to a couple of his meditations, and they're very helpful. So I encourage you to look into that, because we want to explore more fully our feeling nature and get into our sound, into the sound nature, because as light beings, we're also a combination of feelings and of sound and of light. That's the triune of our spiritual body. And so what we're doing is in these processes is to become more in alignment. Now, many of us have, through the years, done meditation, and it's helped us to get through different circumstances in our life. You know, I've shared before how, I tried to put together a healing art institute, and I had all the ducks lined up, and I had the nonprofit corporation, and I had all the board of directors, and I was basing it on a woman who was a gifted psychic, and she would help the police or find the FBI, help them find criminals and stuff. So her psychic ability was on a pretty high level. And even though I didn't know much about her, I without even asking her, really, I started to put together, because my heart wanted to create an institute for healing arts. So we all came together. I rented a restaurant. We had a beautiful dinner, and I shared the story that we'd like to accomplish. And the gifted psychic said, "Oh, the crystal is cracked. This is not going to work." Well, I had put so much energy into doing this, and I hadn't even really consulted her. My mistake. That I got depressed. I mean, I was like, my God, I wanted to do something really good, and look at, boom, it just blew up in my face. So when I went home that evening, the rest of the family was asleep, and I opened the mail, and a lady that I had met 3 months before at a holistic health conference with Everett Loomis, and he was the father of holistic health. I met her in a library, in a bookstore, and she told me she was involved in attitudinal healing. And I said, I want to know more about that. And she said, well, I'll send you a tape or a CD. So that night, the CD arrived, and how marvelous it was when I sit there and listen to the CD, which is a form of meditation. It was kind of, I think it had to do with sound as well. I don't remember for sure. But that depression just lifted right out of me. And it showed me the value of finding that inner core through our practices of meditation and prayer and doing good works. So the next exercise that is developed, and I encourage you to, if you're interested, to obtain the book, The Hearther Material by Tom Kenyon and Virginia Seen. because you can certainly, it's a good review for me, and it helped open my eyes to things I was unaware of. So the whole purpose then is like the attunement, that when I went into an attunement state in that form of meditation, and it dissolved that despair or that disappointment within me, I was able to find my homeostasis, my balance. And that's our task, I believe, as spiritual beings, is to grow more spiritually aware. And so this next exercise, we talk about the pranic tube. Now the Harthers call it the Ka. I don't know how that's how they pronounce it, but that's their version of what's called the pranic tube. Some of us may know of it more in the alignment with our chakras that go up and down. Our chakras from our crown to the bottom of our vertebrae, and we work on clearing chakras. Well, it's very similar to that. They're encouraging us, though, to, as we go through this, and I'll demonstrate it in a moment. As we go through this, then it's a breathing exercise. And it's an exercise where you're going to pay attention to what's going on in our heart chakra, because that's the transformer. That's the transformer that helps us change any negativity in our lives, and or past or present. So as we do the exercise, as we breathe in and out, we're going to pay attention to the movement of the energy, but also the effect of our heart. What does our heart feel like at the moment? So they encourage us to start at least at the bottom of the spine and the top of the head. And if possible, if you have your imagination can take you further than that. For years, I guess I've been doing this without knowing anything about the authors, is I would like to go down to the core of the earth's fire energy, and I bring that up through my body and out to my crown, and I reach up to the central sun. The central sun isn't our sun in our solar system. It's a sun that controls all the systems within our universe. So that's what I'd like to do. But if you can't do it, or if you're not doing it, don't worry about it. It's you do what you can, take what you get. That's their advice. Okay, so some of you have done this with me before. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a breath in, and as we breathe in, as when we get a full breath, here's the best way. As we're breathing in, we're feeling the energy come up from the earth's core. As we can breathe slowly or fast, doesn't matter. But we feel the breath coming up from the earth through us, through our heart center, and out through our crown chakra. And if you can get to the sun, fine. And then when we breathe out, now we're breathing out to make as we're going up but when we're let's see, let me get this right. Yeah, as we're breathing in, we're bringing the energy up from the earth. And then when we're breathing out, we're feeling the energy come back down through us to the earth's core. So, is there any questions about that? Oh, yeah, you put up a lovely visual. Nikki, you're so good at visualizations, and I love the way you put out each week the words about our society and what's coming up. You're a marvelous job. So yes, you can see there's a great visualization, perfect, from the Earth's core moving up, and you can see the Bodhi. So our heart is like we've heard the lotus flower and the rose. Its petals open as we get more into our feeling nature. Enough discussion. So join me at your own pace, and we'll do this for several minutes. And I'm going to breathe in, and I'm going to acknowledge the energies moving up. Okay. And then I breathe out, it's coming back down. Up, down. Notice the energies that are flowing through your heart, how your heart feels. Okay, one more round. Up. Okay, I invite any of you to share your experiences with this meditation. There's no wrong answers. Anyone? No one?
Oh, well, since nobody else is gonna talk, I'm gonna. I felt my heart chakra was like a sponge, and when I breathed in, the sponge expanded and my heart chakra with it. When I breathed out again, it's like squashed some energy that I didn't need in there and sent it back to earth. And that's the best analogy I can come up with right now.
You realize how great that analogy is? It's a beautiful analogy
Thank you.
because sometimes we're not aware of emotional blocks that we have. They may be recent emotional blocks, or they might even be blocks from a former life. And so this exercise is good to help remove those blocks. And there's other exercises where, when you get the book, you can do like, you can deliberately bring into negative emotional feeling into your heart. And then you can feel it lighten up and dissipate. And so, we talk about enlightened beings. This is all it is. It's lighting up. It's making ourselves lighter. And it's like magic, but it has to be applied, and then we have to do it in order to move forward, to lighten up ourselves so that we can grow and ascend to higher state of consciousness. So I find this a valuable book and a valuable tool, and there are many more out there. This is not the only one. Anyone else like to share? Anyone holding back that would find the courage in your heart to share?
Well, I found that my heart felt like it was expanding. And again, back to that image I have had before, I felt like an old water pump, before they had electric water. That when I breathed in, and then it's like my heart was being filled as I brought the energy up the column, sort of thing. And then at the end of it, I was combining it with the exercise we did earlier with the God is I am. And I was I didn't know if I was overloading my process, but it was working. I was feeling expanded. Uh, that's about the only term I can think of. I felt like I was opening up. My heart was opening.
Yeah, and if you had Acrylion photography and were able to see your aura, you would notice that your aura had greatly expanded, and that the colors in your aura would be beautiful. They wouldn't be conflicted. Um, so and I like the way you combine those two. They're very powerful. Just like we use affirmations in our life to build our spiritual muscle, so to speak. Um, you can see how it works. This is just a demonstration of how it works. So when we find ourselves in troubled waters, for instance, or we find ourselves buying into death and dying in despair and killing and mayhem, if the changes that are going on in the world are always going to be there, things in life constantly evolve and change, and some of it's chaotic. But the point is, there's something we can do to not be chaotic, to not be at effect of what's going on in the world, not be effect of your wife dying, not be effect of your moving after 43 years. We don't have to be at effect. We create the effect. We are creators, and the God power within us is in showing us what is required of us to be able to change in any moment the negative aspects in our life or what we're experiencing. That makes sense?
Well, it's kind of back to that old adage. Life is not what happens to you, but how you react to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you allow something to defeat you, or if something defeats you, you let it defeat you, kind of thing. And I don't know if that's coming across right, but we are how we react to things. And we have to keep the power within ourselves and not give the power away to those who speak against us.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, and then would bring to mind the importance of feelings, because our feelings are genuine. We may feel depressed, we may feel angry, we may feel bitter, we might feel happy. There are feelings, so we don't deny those feelings, but we don't allow them to run our lives because we're the observer of our feelings. And so when we wish we can change we can we cannot get locked into the response of our feelings. You know, it's so easy to, oh my God, I'm so sad. Oh, that's how, and you keep buying into it and repeating it, reinforcing it, rather than just letting it go through you, just acknowledging it. And then acknowledging there's a power greater than we are that we're one with, that you can use an affirmation, you can do a form of meditation, you can bring back in the alignment that allows not to be affected what's going through you, is just to become realize what's moving through us. And it's wonderful that we do have a feeling nature, because it's our feeling nature that we just got in touch with. In our meditation, we felt how the kundalini, or our heart, opens further and further, and that has a lot to do with, yes, we can do it. And sometimes it just happens automatically. You know, sometimes we reach a moment of compassion, and we bring compassion into the situation, and that's marvelous. And that probably comes not very complex, but when we arrive at that moment, we feel more open, we feel expanded, because we've invited more of the God presence into our life. Anyway, that's my take on it. Basically, that's all I really wanted to share this morning. But I'm reminded of that one time there's a spiritual guru teacher by the name of Judeo-Christian Murdy. When I read his book, it boggled my intellect, my mind, and I sat with some of his ideas for as long as 10 years, and finally I said, God, he's right. I gotta change my ways, change my thinking, change my life. Now, Bobby and I went to Ojai to attend one of his meetings out into the orchard, and I fell asleep during his lecture. He was so friggin' boring. But the principles he was teaching work. And one time he came to a lecture. He was the lecturer, and he come out and he gets on stage, and his message is, turn within. And then he walks off the stage. So my message is, we just had an example of turning within and finding that power of expanding our feeling nature in a love component. And in that moment, then peace and harmony and joy reside deep within us, and we've gotten in touch with it. And so the circumstances outside, no matter what's going on, death and mayhem, we find that within ourselves, and we bring that into the community. And then we're God-centered beings. We're behaving like God-centered beings. But everybody's on their right path, and I wouldn't find fault with anybody that I'd like to find fault a lot of times, for sure. Somebody's doing something I see ethically or morally wrong, it's easy for me to find fault with that. I have certainly done that, but that also is deadening. It's deadening to the spirit. It doesn't expand the heart. It doesn't bring out the love and the joy that's eternally there. So it's something we can all learn, and we are learning. That's why we're here. And I'm so grateful that our community has taken an active role in bringing that dynamic presence of the God self through us out, and to use it in our work and in our space of time. It's marvelous. and some of us are more intuitive than others, and that it's like we get that inner knowing, that flash of support from maybe fourth or fifth, sixth dimension. I don't know where it all comes from, but I'm grateful when I get an intuitive message and I don't ignore it because I know it comes from a higher source than my limited intellectual beingness. So are there any more thoughts or questions? I don't want to be, don't put me here as the guru because, you get tired of the guru, you kill him, right? You move on. And that's a good practice because we each have to choose and find the center and take the leadership role within ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean we can't learn from others like we are from the Harthers or from Virginia Singh or Tom Kenyon or Ernest Holmes or anyone else that we have gained from. So we
Find it's important to choose the people that you hang out with the most too, and that they're vibrating at a fairly equal or even higher place, if that can be done. I've got a membership club that I belong to where we all get together, and its name has light in the name, Light Tao, and they're mind, heart centered people, but they're doing business and doing good in the world with sustainability and all those sorts of things. But when we gather, we put little studs. You know how the bindi stones come in a packet? We put little white studs on our eye, and one of them puts it on the inside and the outside. And to me, it reminds us that we are the light of Horus or the eye of Horus, and that we are these beings that can emit that sort of vibe. And in doing so in real life, basically from day to day, how we help other people and our commitment to help each other is a binding kind of presence so that when we're in the room together, we feel like we've been freed, just like these meditations we just did, these breathing exercises. And so I find that I'm drawn to hang out with that crowd more and more because it kind of bleeds into all aspects of my life day to day. And it feels good, feels better than moping about and reading headlines that are just nothing but chaos and negativity.
Yeah, that's a good example. I think we all hang out in groups that we associate with, But for me, it could be a tennis group, it could be a book club, or it could be a spiritual group, quote, spiritual, because there's nothing that is not spiritual. And no matter what group I've hung out with, conflict can arise, and it often does. And so, again, it's teaching us to become more centered within ourselves, and that there's no one individual or group that's going to save us. The savior is within ourselves. But it's nice to have group support. And yes, I mean, for sure. I think Jesus learned that certain groups he couldn't talk to. They wouldn't, they weren't absorbing what he had to say. So he would move on to somebody that would appreciate the value of what he was teaching. So we've got about another 15 minutes. We could have some discussion or we could do another exercise. What would you like to do?
I've been through with for you.
What's that?
I was asking Shirley if anything came in for her.
Shirley, you're talking to Shirley.
Yeah.
And
Oh, me?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're talking about me?
Yeah, we're talking to you. We're talking to you, young lady.
say it louder, Nikki.
What came
Okay.
through for you, Shirley, if you were doing the breathing exercises? Anything? Any downloads from the ascended masters, the ancients?
I'll tell you who my descended masters are.
Mhm.
Every evening before bed, three of my daughters and I get together. And just sitting back and listening to them has filled me so much that they care. They care for one another. They care for the world. They care for their children. And each one of them, in their own way and in their own place, I'm so proud of, because they care. They care. And they're
You did a
helping with their brother, and they help with their each other. And it's just it's like they're weaving something beautiful. And I'm there to witness it, to feel it, and to know my daughter is at a deeper, deeper level. Thank you.
Well,
And
Yeah,
who taught
Shirley.
them?
Yeah, like attracts like, Shirley.
Yes.
I
Pardon
think you
me?
have something to do with that.
Well, yeah. Well, because my computer was kind of off or something. And since I had a few years ago taken it, somebody took everything that I had. So I'm very cautious about my computer. And so a friend came back whose name is Paula. And it's just like her energy opened up that door again. And we are one. We are one. And I think that's what we always have to remember. We're a piece of everything.
Mm.
And I thank you all for being in my life. And the many, many times where we all joined together, we laughed, we cried, we did everything amongst each other. And we all came out pretty well in that sense. So I thank you. And Charlie, sorry wasn't here when my computer was out when Barb went then. But I had my conversation with her and with you. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example, Shirley, that you attracted somebody in your life that said, you don't have to fear computers. Let me help you. You know, sure, we all have negative experiences in life and with computers and everything else, but we don't have to abandon them. We have to understand them. And it's wonderful that you've helped and coached so many people in your life, and here somebody comes in your life and coaches you to use a computer again. You know, people sometimes ask me, well, how come a guy your age is, driving a self-driving car? Why are you staying on top of computers and stuff? I said, they're tools and I love them and I want to use them and I'm grateful for them. I'm not afraid of them. There's sometimes I'm a little afraid my car wants to do something I don't want it to do, but I embrace the change. I guess that's another way of putting it. I embrace change. I don't fight it. I go with it, go with the flow. And yet I don't want to I'm not the guru. I'm doing what works for me. And everybody does what they think works best for them. So thank you for sharing that, Shirley. That was very nice. And
Thank you.
Paula and Kevin and Nikki. I love it when people share, because it's good to hear it. You know, sometimes it takes courage to open your mouth and say something that you're holding back. And that again, that's the courage. The heart is called the core, French la cour. That is the heart. It's the heart that gives us the courage to move forward in our life and go beyond where we've been before. Sounds like Star Wars.
Star Trek. Yeah. I'd like to add to that, because I'm learning with everything that's happened to me in the last 6 months with all the caregiving I've been doing. I'm learning to trust the divine plan, and we're all part of that. And for years, my wish has been to be able to live in Florida. Well, the divine plan is that I am going to be living in Florida, at least in the winter. My sister-in-law is on her way to heaven in her own time. I can just hear her having this conversation with God. I'll go when I'm ready. Just don't bother me. But she looked at us and said, "You want to live in Florida? Why don't you just take my apartment?" I went, "What?" She quit claimed her apartment to us. She is leaving us her moderate fortune. And so I will be able to live in Florida. I will be able to support the ministry in a much better way than I have before, at least monetarily. I have to fight with Matthew over that, but I've just seen this plan opening, one thing after the other. Just all I had to do was ask, and it happened. And it's like, that was easy. How come I've been fighting it all my life? But that's the divine plan. It's where I am now. Yeah, I made myself sick twice doing it, but that's my lesson I need to learn. But my lesson is also that I have realized my purpose is to help people. It's to be there when people need somebody that they can trust. And my sister-in-law has started to trust me. I now can get into all of her bank accounts, which will make it easier for us when she does pass. It's like my life is opening up again at 76 years old. I have a new life to look forward to, and I am blessed. And I am grateful that I've had all of you to support me all this time through phone calls, emails, letting me know I missed. And when I do show up, which has been rare, I know that, and I apologize, but there's only so many pieces of me I can give in a day. So, divine plan is working. We are all part of that plan. We are in each other's lives for a reason. We don't always know it at the moment, but eventually it gets revealed in its own time, in God's time, not ours. And that was a very wonderful, scary lesson for me. And it also helps me understand why I always wanted to be a priest. And now I go, I'm a bishop to the Catholic Church. Because that's my mission is to help when I can. But I also know that I have to take care of me too. So the plan is working, guys. And when all is said and done, I will be able to do much more for this ministry than I've been
Wonderful.
able to do. So thank you for your patience and for your love and your concern. I love you all.
Thank you. Yeah, we love you too.
Thank you for that beautiful sharing in what you're calling the plan. The Harthers would say it's manifest destiny. Manifest destiny. And it comes out of the seeds that we planted within our consciousness. We had something, it doesn't happen without us, it happens through us. And so your manifestation came out of the seeds that you planted, and you're right. It's the results are up to the universal presence of God. And we do our part, plant our seeds, nurture them, and let the rest happen. And if it happens, we say in God's time, or when it unfolds, it unfolds. And thank you. And Paula, when you find yourself, if you find yourself stressed out or anything from all that's happening, reach out to your community. We love you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have bugged Shirley quite often
Yes, you do. I'm
because
waiting for
she's,
you Wednesday tomorrow.
yes, so we're seeing you Wednesday. Finally, I haven't seen Shirley in months. But yes, I do reach out on occasion. And Sally as well, even though
Yeah.
she's got her own stress. So yeah, I thank all. And Nikki has been sending me wonderful emails every once in a while, like, "Are you still alive? Are you okay? What's going on?" That means a lot, even if I don't get to answer quickly. And some of my stress is of my own making, and it's my own choice, and so I have to learn to deal with that too. But I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. And as you found out today, or you reminded of how we can deal when we find ourselves stressful, get back into our practices of opening our heart, whatever that works for us.
Right.
Thank you. It's so good to see you back.
It's good to see you too, all of you.
So,
I think
Magnificent
what we
view.
have to, oh, I
Dolly has
think
given
what
us
we
the view
have
of the
to,
new house. Sorry.
okay,
That's
what
the
I was going to say, I think what we should remember, we have to get out of our own heads. And I say that by saying I'm the worst one because with the brain damage I have, I will literally until midnight tonight analyze every moment of the day. Did I do this right? Did I talk too much? Whatever. Uh, get out of our own heads and remember we are all part of the same soul family. No matter what organization we belong to, they are part of our soul family. And I firmly believe uh, our soul sat down at one point at a huge boardroom in the sky and determined, I'm going to do this, we're going to do this, I'm going to come into your life at 70, whatever. And the divine plan is the divine plan of that soul family. And you mentioned about we plant seeds. We planted those seeds before we came here. When all of our souls were sitting down, we were planting seeds. I'm gonna come into your life. Charlie, you and I had to have that conversation 90 years ago or whatever, eternity in the past. And so I didn't come into your life until you were close to 90, but that was all our souls predetermined that eons ago, when before we even came to the earth. And I'm a firm believer in that. And our soul families are here to teach us lessons, to support each other. But we have to get out of our heads and believe that kind of thing, and that's what keeps me going along.
yeah, Kevin is wonderful. Yes, the manifest destiny that's happening right now with the seeds we're planting have happened in former lives that bring the experience into this life. Yes, definitely, absolutely. Now you talk about in the evening where you begin to get very analytical. Yeah, I like to review my life every evening too. In fact, I tell Bobby, I said, Bobby, this is what happened. I did this, that, and the other thing. And it's just a review. I find out when I'm getting so analytical is that when I'm trying to make a decision, I can get so frightened that I get so analytical, it drives me crazy until I make the decision. Oh no, I'll let go of all that analysis and I'll finally choose. But I'm saying there's also another way, right? I'm saying that when we find ourselves getting overly analytical, we can find our heart center, and because when we become analytical, we can become very critical too. We can become critical, like, did I do the right thing? Should I chastise myself, or should I have stepped in and said something that I didn't do? Or you find faults, so you don't want to plant those seeds in your future karma. You want to find the seeds that nurture the love. Yeah, the seeds that, like they say in the Bible, that fall on the rock that doesn't mature, are the seeds that aren't full of love. They aren't full of joy. They're not full of peace. And yet you see some seeds that are able to grow in rocks. Amazing. There's so much to life. Anyway, thank you for sharing. I hope I'm not boring you.
Well, I'd like to thank you all today for bringing me out of my headspace and making me feel like I'm in the right place. I look forward to these Zooms every Sunday because it brings me back to what's really important in life, and that's being part of a group like this.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.